Hi, this is Jingping G. My friends call me JP, aka an investor for all seasons. Today we're going to talk about Cloudflare and full disclosure, this is a stock that I have a long position on. Again, this is not financial advice. It's entertainment information. Take it as what you will. So we're going to talk about Cloudflare from a couple of perspectives. First, we're going to distinguish the difference between investment and speculation. And for this, it's definitely a speculative stock because, it's a growth stock. It doesn't have the, revenue or the profits to justify the market cap it currently has, which is about 20 billion. I think its total revenues for the previous year were only 600 million or something like that. So, okay, what is speculation and what is investment? According to Warren Buffett, when you buy stocks in companies that exhibit solid fundamentals, strong earnings power, and the potential for continued growth, that is investment. So when we buy Cloudflare, what we're really doing is we are expecting it to perform much better in the future. So in that case, it's not really a clear investment from a value investor's point of view. We're expecting the future to be better than the past, and really, we don't really know what the future holds. So if we look at the stock, it got extremely overvalued. So this is price to sales. In end of 2021, it was trading over $200 a share, and currently it's around, I believe, $60 a share, and the total value has dropped over 60%. Now, since it has dropped so much, is now a good time to purchase the stock? It's not so much that it used to be worth more that's making us, that makes it worthwhile. It's really, what is the underlying business that we're buying? So let's take a look at that. The underlying business is a very fast growing internet business. So what does Cloudflare do? Really, they do a lot of different things. I actually have used a number of these different features of Cloudflare. So they do a content delivery network. They help you block spam and other mal-intentioned kind of visitors to your website. And they also have this service called Cloudflare Workers that's essentially a competitor to Amazon Web Services that allows you to deploy code. Because of the CDN, or content delivery network infrastructure that they've created, they actually have a lot of servers all around the world. So the whole point is that they can deploy code, quote unquote, on the edge. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but that's a general overview of what they do. They're a very fast growing business. As you can see, revenue has grown more than, roughly 50% a year. And in terms of, if we look at the number of customers, we can also see that their number of customers is growing steadily, and the number of customers who are paying them over $100,000 a year is also growing. So all of this, is pointing to a lot of growth. But just growth is good in revenue, but profits is what we're really after. We don't know really when exactly they will hit profitability in their annual report. They actually say that they may not hit profitability for a while, but this continued revenue growth probably means at some point they're going to have so much revenue that it will be profitable. I did a rough back of the napkin calculation here of the value of the stock. Basically, let's see, where is it? Right, so assuming if they had 50% margin and traded at 20x price to earnings of their current revenue, this company is only worth $6 or $7 billion. Their current market cap is 21 billion. So is it overvalued? No, if we assume that, or we're expecting it to grow further. So if in 10 years Cloudflare does $50 billion a year in revenue with 50% margin. And that's a big if, right? We don't know if this will happen. At 20% price to earnings, the company would be worth $500 billion. So from the amount of, the enterprise value today, that's a 25 times return on your money in 10 years if this pans out. And that's why this is a speculative stock. So another thing to kind of keep in track or keep an eye on is cash flow and debt to capital. Debt to capital is actually quite high for Cloudflare. So I took a look at that. You can see that total liabilities actually increased significantly in 2020 and 2021. However, at the same time, I think they were just raising money. So you can see that total current assets still covers total liabilities, and total assets covers total liabilities. So that's a good sign. And here we also have a statement of cash flows. If you look at their cash flows this is their annual report from 2021. If you look at their cash flows, you can see that they have a bunch of things going on where they purchase available for sale securities, and they proceeds from issuance of convertible senior notes. So they're doing a bunch of things to move cash around, but at the end of the day, they are able to maintain a healthy amount of cash. So cash equivalents, and restricted cash in the period, is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, which seems to be a fairly safe amount. Let me just make sure that this is in thousands. So yeah, they seem to be in a good spot in terms of cash. So the real question is whether or not Cloudflare will actually turn out to be such a growth story. And for comparison, really, I pulled up this Amazon AWS revenue growth from 2013 to 2021. And you can see this is the level of growth that a cloud computing service can achieve if it becomes widely adopted. So to understand whether or not this growth is possible, really we need to have a better understanding of the underlying technology of Cloudflare. So here we're going to dive into the second section, which is the technology and the size of the opportunity in this market. Because I was actually working with Cloudflare serverless technology for some of my other projects, I kind of have a firsthand view of this. And this is actually a great podcast with Zach Bloom, who is I believe he's the director of product and product strategy. I'll link to this in the show notes, but he talks about how Cloudflare's infrastructure, serverless infrastructure, actually competes with Amazon AWS at some level and is much faster than Amazon AWS. Specifically, actually, a part of Amazon AWS, that's the serverless technology called AWS Lambda. Kind of super in-depth technical here in this podcast, but it's interesting to hear how smart these guys are and how performant their technology is. So here's an example, workers.cloudflare.com, of all of the different technologies that are built with Cloudflare Workers, from big brands like Canva, Panasonic. It's still early days, actually, so we expect to see more and more of these companies adopt this technology and really make great use of it. Okay, so that's the story of Cloudflare. If the growth story turns out to be true, this could be a very valuable company that could be a 10xer over the next 10 years. If not, nobody knows whether or not that's going to happen. If not, hopefully they have a soft landing somewhere, because the technology is so valuable that Microsoft or Google will acquire them so that the stock is not going to go to zero. I think it will still have some value. So the upside is huge. The downside hopefully is somewhat protected. So that's my take on Cloudflare based on the research that I've done. Again, this is not investing advice. Take it with a grain of salt. This is Jingping G. My friends call me JP, and I am known as an investor for all seasons. Cheers.